All right, welcome to Skratch Snobs. We got a special guest in the house. His name is DJ Dayvers, and he's one of my favorite beat jugglers right now. We talked to a lot of people about juggling, and it's kind of like a dying breed, right?
I agree. I agree.
Like, I tell people all the time, there was a period of maybe 10 years where I didn't pay any attention to DJing, and when I started watching DJing again, the level of scratching had gone way up. Like, everyone is like super dope at cutting, but then when it comes to juggling, I feel like, I mean, obviously there's exceptions, but would it be fair to say that juggling hasn't advanced as much in the last, say, 15 years as scratching?
I just really think that juggling is a dying breed of people that's juggling because more people are cutting and it's easier for the portable scene going out right now. But with you helping us here, showing people that juggling is still alive.
One thing, we were talking about why scratching is so much more popular and why it's so much more advanced, and one thought I had was that scratching is just so much more practical. Like you can show up anywhere where someone's playing a beat and you can scratch to it. And, you were talking about how if you're sessioning with a bunch of other DJs, you can all vibe out together. You can, if there's 5 of you, you can take turns in a circle cutting. But
right.
You were saying when it comes to juggling, I mean, if you have a juggle session, it's one guy up there at a time, pretty much, right?
Yeah, just one guy there, and then everyone's just watching him.
Yeah, and that's not as fun as like a session, Q&Aing and scratching. So
what's for me personally, I think like scratching, freestyle scratching, just per se versus like juggling freestyle. It's easier in the ears to hear scratching as freestyle, and you could always vibe out to that because you could do a session with that. But sometimes with beat juggling, for me, it's like you have to have a routine all the time to make it sound good. Because if you don't have like a routine, it sounds sloppy or, But with scratching, you could always improvise and it sounds like more raw and it's okay.
I mean, like we can always freestyle juggle, but that'll never come off as well as someone freestyle scratching.
Right? I agree. Totally agree with that. Yeah.
Let's say you're trying to make a juggle. You've decided, all right, I want to make a new juggle routine today, right?
Yeah.
So where does that start?
For instance, for example, like right now I've been doing on Instagram in which I tell people, hey, can you like give me a song to juggle? So for instance, if someone like the last one was with Exist, he gave me a song was from Midas Touch from Midnight Star. So I listen to the song first, the whole way through.
Yeah.
Because not just that first part where the break is in the beginning, because I know there's cool parts to it. So there was a part there that says touch, touch, touch. So I was like, okay, I could juggle that part. So I listened to it, mess around with it, and I just listened to it, and if it sounds cool, then I'll just, try to come up with 3 patterns for a 1-minute video.
Okay.
Yeah.
So say, in these recent cases, you're taking requests, so people are telling you what beat to juggle.
Yeah.
But, before you were doing that, how did you decide what beat to juggle?
Oh, okay. For me, what songs I like to juggle is like the people from back in the day, like what Mike C did, and IF2, Top Ramen is like getting like famous songs that people know, and I want to juggle that, flip it, because I want people, like the audience, to recognize the song and then, oh, he flipped it and it sounds different. That's what I want. So it's always popular songs out there, 90s, 80s, hip-hop, new wave, R&B.
So you want them to know what the original song was so that they'll know what it is you're doing to affect it.
Yes, totally, yeah.
Okay, so once you've picked the song, and you got, doubles of the song in front of you on your Serato, then what? Backtracking, you said that first of all you start by listening to the whole song all the way through to look for noises or sounds to mess with, right?
Right.
Then what?
Okay. There's like for me was I like I have like a certain style of what I like to juggle. Like either I'll do breakdown patterns or I'll like do real time juggles. So some songs sounds good doing real time juggling, or some songs sounds good doing breakdown patterns. So I'll try both. If one sounds better than the other, then I'll like just work on those type of patterns because I have certain patterns for breakdown, certain patterns for real time juggling. So I'll start with that.
We were talking about this earlier, and it sounds like you do the same thing as I do. In that, what I usually do is I'll take, first of all, I'll listen to the whole song all the way through. I do that every single time, like
totally,
you said,
totally.
to find parts of noises or sounds or sections that are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, what I start doing is I'll try patterns on that beat that I've used on other beats, on other juggles, and then I'll kind of see which ones sound good on that new beat, which ones definitely shouldn't be used on that new beat, or sometimes I'll have a pattern that it sounds good on this new beat, but it needs to be changed just a little bit to like customize to the new beat, and it sounds like you do that too.
Yeah, I sometimes technically have like stock standard juggle universal patterns that I'd have, and then when sometimes some songs have a little horn sample or something like oh shoot I could tweak it, so I'm gonna try to emphasize on that, but still stick with that same formula that I usually have for my juggles.
Okay, so I have kind of a question for you. Like, I feel like your outlet for showing people your juggles has been Instagram lately.
Yeah.
Which has a 1 minute limit.
Yeah.
And coming from, a regular battle background, I'm used to making juggles that are at least 90 seconds or
Right.
2 minutes or whatever. Like, how do you feel, if at all, the Instagram 1 minute limit has kind of impacted what you decide to put in those juggles?
Oh, that's a really good question because I remember back then it was 15 seconds Instagram.
No, yeah, you can't do no kind of
Yeah, it
juggles
was
in
like
that.
literally one pattern and that was it. But with 1 minute it was good. But like back in like then like for me I would love to have a 1 minute 30 90
That'd be
second.
perfect. That would be perfect.
Because I have a sort of like an Instagram formula which I use like for 1 minute I could put a little intro. I want to set the tone, like I want them to know what song it is. Then I'll just do my 3 patterns that I have. But it seems like it's so rushed because I just want to show everyone I could do 3 patterns and do an outro. But if it was like a minute 30, I could sort of extend it and make it put more funk into it and make it sort of like a complete
you can compose it more, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just like I just want to show everybody in the world I'm doing 3 crazy patterns and that was it. That's what 1 minute Instagram. But I'm just making do with what I have.
Are there like certain components that you always want your juggle routines to have?
I want it to be sort of easy on the ears. I mean,
I want it to sound good.
Yeah, I want it to sound good. I mean, I want it to sound in which I don't want it to like focus on the juggle to just I'm just hearing the kick and the snare and that's it. It just sounds like everything else. I want to like touch into if there's vocals on the juggles. I want to hit that. Maybe sometimes if you hit the start or stop button, like it's not just on the kick, but there's like a sound on it, so people to hear. Oh, I could hear that, or just little things like that. Maybe I could like juggle and have a little scratch into it, and then just something different than just like a regular kick and snare juggle. If that makes any sense.
One thing I always try to do with my routines is I always want each routine to have at least one pattern that I've never done on any other routine before.
Yeah, totally. And it helps when you juggle different records because then sometimes like, whoa, I didn't know you could do that. So
it also helps. I feel like that kind of comes naturally too because, like we were referring to earlier, if there's certain patterns that sounded good on another record but would sound better if you changed it a little on this new record, then that naturally leads to new patterns and techniques.
I agree. Totally agree with that too.
So for me, and I'll see what you think of this, I always try to make sure that every routine I have, whether it's a juggle or a scratch routine actually, I want there to be an intro and obviously there's the body.
Mm-hmm.
But I always want there to be a distinct ending, and sometimes it's a diss if it's a head-to-head battle, or sometimes it's basically it has. I always want it to have a clear ending because I'm sure you've been to battles where there will be some guy cutting or some guy juggling, and then, well, his time's up, so he just kind of stops, and well, I guess he's done now. And like that's what I want to avoid. I want the audience to know when I'm done, so they'll be more likely to applaud.
Exactly. No, totally. Yeah, I always try to save the banger at the very end, either if it's just a crazy juggle pattern or an outro which they could hear. That's something that they can hear at the very last thing.
Who are your favorite jugglers that you've seen lately?
Oh, lately?
Or in general, I guess.
In general, oh, okay. Well, I'm kind of biased to like the old school. I mean, I'll give props to Mike C. If anyone's seen my top five, I was telling them my top five juggles of all time is his 2 Live Groupie So Horny routine. If you see that, go on YouTube. Him versus Access at ITF. What was yours at 99 or something, or 90?
99.
99. Check it out because that's a hard routine. Because that's a complete one. He had an intro, which was crazy, which was personal. He had a juggle.
The 2 Live Crew stuff wasn't personal. I had that routine before.
As in,
it was a diss, you mean?
Yeah, the diss. I mean,
even back then, I guess I always wanted to have an intro, middle, and an ending.
Yeah.
That one had that.
It was cool. It was a super cool routine. I love Swift Rock. I love his funky juggles. Just simple but funky. I mean, it's still technical at the same time, but just it's easy on the ears. Who else I like? Well, I like Spell, the DJ Spell.
Yeah.
I love his flashlight routine. It's pretty dope. Obviously, what was J Slim? I remember, man, he got some crazy juggles. I love watching old school YouTube. If you go on YouTube, just dig around, you can see some cool clips of like 99 or even 98, 2000. Those are like the best for me personally, the best time for juggling.
Okay, how about more recent stuff?
Recent stuff? Spell.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some crazy things. I mean, that dude from Japan, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Sorry.
Are you talking about Barua? He's real skinny. He does really good body tricks.
That's some crazy stuff.
He's like perfect. He makes 0 mistakes.
Yeah. Okay. I wish I could do that. I mean, that's
sick.
crazy stuff. K-Swiss.
Oh, yeah.
He's killing it. He's doing his thing. And the other dude is a Super Beast DJ. What was the other guy's name?
Rena.
Yeah, they're killing it for that age, man. That's dope, man.
For any age.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hey, props to them.
So one thing I do when I'm kind of deciding whether a juggle routine of mine is any good or how much work it needs is I'll record it, and when I'm out taking a walk or something, I'll just listen to the audio, because at a battle typically not everyone can necessarily see what you're doing. They're just going to hear it.
Right.
And so if it doesn't sound good, then fuck what it looks like.
Sometimes in my car when I'm driving, I don't recommend anyone doing this. Sometimes like if I want to hear my juggles, I'll like listen to it. I record it, like just say Instagram or whatever. I'll just listen to it because I don't have to visually, but if I could hear how it sounds like, that's it's very important than visually.
I feel like listening to your routines without, aside from the times when you're actually doing the routine, it kind of takes you outside of your usual perspective of that routine, and it lets you be aware of what it looks or sounds like to a spectator who's not you.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And you're doing these routines for other people to see, so it's important to see how it comes off in their eyes, I feel like.
Right.
All right. So after all this talking about juggling, we're gonna have Dayvers show us what he can do right here. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. What routine do you want to do? This guy, by the way, for those of you who don't know, on Instagram, he actually takes requests. Like he'll say, name a song, and then I'll juggle it. So if you have some songs you want to see him juggle, you should hit him up on IG, and it's just at Dayvers, right?
Yeah, Dayvers. If you have a song.
Yeah, someone requests some like country love song and tell him he needs to juggle it.
I was surprised because no one actually gave me a crazy request yet. Which
I'll send you one. It's coming.
Okay, I'll work on it.
Or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'll do it if you request it.
Okay, but for today's show, what routine are you going to show us?
Let's try Commodore's Brick House.
Brick House. Dayvers Brick House routine coming up.
She's a brick house. She's mighty, just letting it all hang out.